Hey Space Sailors, welcome to the crew. I'm Sea Lord Janda, and this is my Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper. We are continuing to work to stop the mysterious Shadow Protocol, and we're now heading down to the Eye's main control center in hopes of spreading the gardener there and stopping the Shadow Protocol for good. Getting through this awfully quickly, if it really is, but sorry. Let's eat too. Yeah, let's just be fully prepared, just in case. Alright, let's go, Peak. Facility Peak has led you to is decaying, derelict, but they promise the core is still active. You just have to find it. Right, so we can hack, or we can explore. There are powered terminals in the derelict part of the low end. Accessing them is dangerous, but will be faster than wandering. To find the core of the facility, you'll need to trace a path between Peak's backdoor entry and the derelict levels below. Oh, what the hell, let's hack the place. We're real good at hacking. Find that old Solheim map terminal and manage to boot it back up. A skeletal map of the facility unfolds for you. And let's see what this does too, actually. You find an emergency access elevator that's still powered and descend further towards the core. Sweet. To be fair, even with all these successes, we're not going to finish this cycle, but we're going to get close. Sleeper, here. What? Isn't there one left? Peak calls to you from across the flickering corridor. An elevator to the core. They smile. This is it. It's been a long set of cycles hunting for a path through the derelict layers of old Solheim offices and workshops, but finally here it is, the path down to the core. You rush over to Peak. As you do, the doors grind open, the dingy-looking elevator flickering as they do. You look at Peak, who nervously gestures for you to get in. Okay. The elevator bounces a little, but stays stable. You glance back to see Peak watching you nervously. They follow you in sheepishly, just a little nervous. Peak reaches over and punches the button for the lowest level, flinching a little as the doors grind closed. The elevator sets off, screeching through the floors as it does at an unsettlingly loud volume. I'd feel more comfortable if we spoke. Peak raises their voice with the noise. It's not going to be a short trip. Have you ever heard of Senate Stat? Peak thinks. Maybe, once. They frown. Could have been mentioned in an XPR news packet, the kind the Central Administration sent out to us. Something about market analytics, I think. They shake their head. When you spent so much time trying to forget your past, this stuff isn't easy to dredge up. Think this'll work? Peak laughs. Great question, Sleeper. Really takes my mind off things. They shake their head. What does it matter? We haven't got much of a choice at this point, and I'd rather be doing something. They shrug. Ask me something else. How's Esh? Peak pauses. I was thinking more like small talk. Elevator talk. They sigh. She is packing. They rub their eyes. Once Esh has set her mind on something, well, you know her now. You know what I mean. The screeching in the elevator fills the silence. Can we talk her into staying? I doubt it. I really do. Peak looks down. She left her life behind to take me out of XPR, out of Hawthorne. I can't imagine her settling for just anywhere. To be honest, I can't see her letting me stay either, but I guess things have changed. Back then at Hawthorne, I wasn't in a place to know what to do. I was desperate. I was ready to run. But now? He pauses. Now I feel done with that. Done with denying my past, my history. If I ever want to feel complete, to feel settled, don't I need to somehow resolve the person I was with the person I am now? It goes quiet, and you do too. There are too many possible questions, too many possibilities before you. It just seems easier to get on with the task at hand and leave the consequences for later. The elevator screams to a stop, and the doors ping open with a strangely cheerful beep. You glance at Peak. Time to move on. Both walk out into an atrium, still lit by some ragged-looking light panels on the ceiling, once simulating a summer sky, now degraded into a flickering blue and white tapestry of glitches. Peak crosses quickly, making a beeline for the large doors on the far side, where you can make out a fading sign in massive peeling letters. Central Control. Follow, helping them lever open the partially powered doors until the motors kick in and they spring to life, thudding open. You and Peak tumble through across the damp metal. As you stand, you're greeted by flickering lights, thousands of them, A vast cylindrical stack of servers, processors, and transmitters dominates the center of the room, its flickering LEDs reflected in the scattered puddles that surround it. Despite the decay, the warped panels and water leaks, it's still running just as it has for decades and decades, since the station was first spun up. You wonder how long it's been since anyone's been in this room. You exchange wide-eyed looks with Peak. This place is a still living piece of history. What now? Peak takes a handful of mulch out from a small bag, glitters with spores. Now we seed this place. They cross to the server and start packing the mulch deep into the machinery, pushing fistfuls deep into gaps in the paneling, laying it across hardware. As you watch them doing this, you feel a tug, a thread pulling at you. You approach the vast piece of cylindrical hardware that Peak is stuffing mulch into. You run your hands across its plated metal surface and watch the lights blink in response. As you pass, you hear a whirring like a physical disk drive starting up. You put your face against the metal, smell the hot air venting from the hardware. Heart was the right choice of words, you think. The whirring shifts, alternating, speeding up, slowing down, and as you listen, you hear it modulate into a voice. Sleeper, you freeze. You are here. For a moment, you're afraid, but something in the tonality of the voice is familiar. Navigator. Another drive spins up, and another, giving the voice a richer, multi-tonal sound. I had forgotten what it felt like to speak like this, the drive skipped. There is a certain quality to it, a certain physicality. What are you doing here? The drives squawk in unison. Did you imagine the flux, the shadow protocol, that they were just a problem for the people of this station? A high whining begins. They are all the more dangerous to us. I've been hiding once more, jumping from network to network to avoid the shadow as it eats up nodes. A low rumble. I thought my hiding days were done. For the moment I have found myself a safe haven here in the core. The shadow is yet to breach this facility, although that is a temporary state of affairs. The rumble stops. My predictions do not point to good outcomes. Yes, we have a plan. Explain to Navigator about Peak's plan, about Gardner's resistance to the shadow, and how by seeding key systems you'll protect them from its advance. The drives hum thoughtfully as you speak. A desperate plan, the drives were, but appropriate given the probability of total collapse. I'm not sure what will be worse for us, hiding from the erasure of the Shadow Protocol or the assimilation of Gardner. The drives pause to reset. But we owe you our freedom. I will do what I can to guide the Gardner into the systems you have seeded. The pause. It is correct to do so. Thank you, Navigator. The drives squeak in affirmation. You have notable persistence, Sleeper. Even with such poor probabilities of success, I will be curious to see the outcome. The drives squeal, the motors giving out. This cannot be sustained much longer. Good luck. The final squeak of affirmation, and then the drives skitter and slow to a halt. You step back from the towering cylinder, staring at this vast piece of Solheim hardware. This whole place is built from ghosts, you think, from old protocols and company hardware, from engines that drove decades of corporate expansion. Is the eye proof that they can be shifted, bent, forced into new configurations that allow for new ways of living? Or is its inevitable collapse proof that these engines of expansion can never be anything other than a corrupt foundation? It seems to depend on who you ask. Done! Peak's shout breaks your line of thought. The heat and damp should help the spores germinate quickly. If we're lucky, there's enough time for some growth before we reconnect the Greenway. They glance at you. That's it. All the facilities seeded. They sigh. We either just ensured the ice survival, or stuffed a whole lot of soil into one of its most important computers. They laugh weakly. Shall we go? They start to head back towards the doors in the elevator beyond. Let's go. You turn your back on the core and follow Peak back into the elevator. As you ride the car back up, Peak raises their voice over the screeching. I'm going to the Founder's Gap to finalize the connection. The moment I'm ready, I'll let you know when we let the Gardener out. The sooner the better. Peak furrows their brow. If we wait until the final cycle, it'll be too late. If you want to help speed things up, go work with the flotilla. We can't make the connection until we know they're ready to go. Peak swallows. Unleashing Gardener could affect them too if we aren't careful. What happens then? Peak shrugs. I don't honestly know. Maybe Gardener takes over the station. Maybe they don't even react. They sigh. I can't think about it any longer. You ride the rest of the way in silence. When you reach the top, you go your separate ways, but before you do, Peak embraces you, burying their face in your shoulder. You stand there together for a moment, spinning with the eye, moving relentlessly towards an unknown future. And then they let go and slip away, the pressure of their hug fading like a bruise as you begin to leave. Okay. Another upgrade point. I guess we'll grab +2 to engage. I don't think we're gonna quite max ourselves out, because there's probably not 5 drives left in the game, but pretty damn close. Okay, I guess the only thing we can do is help the Pilgrim Seed now, so I mean, we might as well. Cat? These things should pop up there. Oh no, it should pop up further down, but they said we should do the refugees first, so let's do that. Right, okay. Let's see here. Birth 3. The Pilgrim Seed will take the majority of the evacuees off the eye, but is there enough time to settle them all? Building berths into the vast bulkheads of the Pilgrim Seed is a huge job, and Sol needs every able-bodied engineer to help. Evacuees will need many supplies for the trip to the starboard belt, and they have to be hauled aboard in only a few cycles. Okay, well, let's go. Better at this, so let's get it done. You work in sync with the other teams, splitting the jobs so that by the time you're done, there are tens of new berths in place. No, more than halfway done. That, wow, still has a chance of succeeding. Cost us energy, but still succeeded. You worked methodically, welding the walls of each berth together, but the scale and scope of the job is still exhausting. As you stop to rest in one of the Pilgrim Seed's cavernous bays, hopping up to sit on a supply crate, you hear a now familiar voice behind you. Sleeper, glad you're here. Sol's suit hisses as he clanks up towards you. I know you help us out. We sure do appreciate everything you do for us. And no worries, man. I do mean it, Sleeper. He looks away down the bay to where sparks jump from welding torches. It's a grim job to be doing without a few friends around. Sol settles beside you, flinching a little, but making himself comfortable on the crate. Seems the word got out, this way or that. He nods towards the welders a little way off, one of them wearing shipyard overalls. We've had people flowing in from the eye looking for a place. In truth, it's more than I thought, Sol sighs. Which means more mouths to feed, more bodies to house, more people to protect. Can you do it? Sol frowns. We'll do what we can, as always. I'm not sure any of it can be enough. He looks down. We were supposed to stay here, not keep running. Sol waves away the thought. Don't listen to me. He gives you a sideways glance. Just a tired old man. He stretches. I have something to ask, though. What is it? With all these evacuees, well, we need a change in plan. He shrugs. Pilgrim Seed can't do it alone. We need the others to help out. We can carry them, house them, but that's all. Now you settled down, the folks remember Step, and they sent us supplies grown in those dust houses of theirs. We could get more. He nods to himself. Then the Song crews, he rubs his chin. What we need from them is scouting and security. We don't need that docking access of theirs, but with some careful scavenging, they could be our fleet. These folks, they know you, Sleeper. You earned their trust already. He puts a hand on your shoulder, I think is what it's supposed to say. I sent my requests out, and they seem to be complying, but I need you out there making sure the work gets done. Time is our greatest enemy now. Sol stares into the distance. I need you out there, speeding things up. Of course, Sol. Sol nods. Alright then. Climbs off the crate, his suit hissing as he does. Think of it this way. Either way, you won't have to deal with me much longer. He smiles his uneven smile. Unless, of course, you were planning to come along for the trip. I'm gonna stay and ride it out, Sol. Sol nods. I understand. Sol waves a hand and starts off towards the base entrance, the crackling sound of the welding quickly covering up his clanking suit. You watch the workers, the shipyard contractor chatting among them, already looking like he belongs. You push the thoughts of escape, of home, and of the future to the back of your mind, then get up. There's always more to do. You better head to the other ships in the flotilla to see what can be done. I really thought I hadn't quite finished that yet. No, I haven't. I don't know why that conversation happened now. Okay, Haki. I knew you'd come. Haki greets you outside the dust house, her eyes as bright as always. You're very welcome here, as always. Good to see you, Haki. Haki smiles. And you, Sleeper. Haki puts a hand on your arm. Walk with me. She guides you past the dust house. You look inside and see other members of the crew working in the orange dust, planting and tending to the steppe ecosystem. We are to be the suppliers for the evacuees, I'm sure you have heard. We will put the dust houses to use. She leads you past a dust house where the dust is less, the orange glow not as bright, the air a little more clean. We are adapting, slowly, but we are adapting. We have to produce food, clothes, necessary things for the journey ahead. She smiles. The plants of steppe are once again sustaining a population, and that makes me proud. Aki stops at a half-empty dust house, scoured of its sand. It's being filled with mulch. We brought this from the greenway. She stares at the green and brown, a strange sight. Even to you, now that you're used to the amber dust of steppe. I admit it's hard work for us. We're not familiar with these plants. Can you help us? Aki meets your eye. I'll do my best. Thank you, she nods solemnly. I know that the eye is suffering, that it is at risk. I know what that is like. Thank you. I wish I had a lesson to share with you from our loss on steppe. She shakes her head. But for the moment I cannot say what that might be. She gathers herself. If it gives you meaning, the work here is steady and worthwhile. But if you do not have time, she smiles a weak smile, I will not blame you. Hold on to your memories, but not too tightly. She pauses. Sadness will not sustain you. She falls silent, and you both watch the work in the dust house for a while. You can already see a greening fringe of moss on the mulch in the dust house. The first signs of new life. Will you soon be like the people of steppe, leaving behind a home? Or will you be stubborn and hold your ground despite what it might mean? You wait a little longer with Aki, the moment of welcome suspension in time. A rare moment in this rush towards an end. You glance at Aki and she puts a hand on your shoulder in solidarity. After a short while, Aki sighs. It's good to see you, Sleeper. Perhaps we will see each other again before we depart. She walks away, fingertips brushing against the glass of the dust house windows. Aki turns back for a moment as if she wants to say something, then thinks better of it and turns away. Alright, so they need help. The dust houses now have a new function to feed the evacuees on their journey to the starboard belt. That means many changes. Dust house tending. To be used on the flotilla's outward trip, the dust houses will need careful tending, especially with being adapted to greenway plants. Harvest automation. Dust house efficiency could be massively improved with an automated harvesting system, but the steppe techs need some help. Well, we're equally good at both of those. Okay, Peter? The docking access is in chaos when you arrive. The staccato burst of welding torches, the shouts of crews gathering, the rapid flow of supplies and kit from dock to dock. You can tell already that news of the flotilla's imminent departure has reached this place before you. Come to join the Exodus, Sleeper? Peter approaches you from one of the working crews, a smile on his face and a lightness in his step you haven't seen before. Are you enjoying this? Peter shrugs. Refitting our ship, building systems, improvising solutions? That's what half of us live for. Are you really surprised? No, not really. Peter laughs. Seems you have learned something about us after all. Peter eyes you. I suppose you're here on Sol's orders again? He winks at you. Nothing Ember's Hearth like to do more than get ordering people around. Hey, you guessed it, Peter. Well, Sol has it lucky anyway. His request for us to dismantle the Axis and be the vanguard for the flotilla's onward journey to the starboard belt aligns perfectly with our plans. What plans would those be? To leave this damned place, of course. We've been prepping ever since the cordon collapsed. We can build our escape and make the Hearth ships think we're complying with their orders at the same time, then it's a 2-in-1 for us. Peter shakes his head. Those idiots will never see it coming. You're leaving the flotilla? We are our own flotilla, Sleeper. Peter looks away at the busy Axis. We aren't going to tie ourselves to Heart and Steppe any longer. Why would we? To help them? Peter scoffs. They're taking on evacuees from the Eye, that's what I heard. So how about they help themselves before they ask us to make up for their bad decisions? Peter looks down. Look, nothing against you or yours, Sleeper, but we have to get out from under the shadow of Steppe and Hearth, and this is the time. Peter grimaces. We won't let the flux catch us again. Not a chance. And for the first time, you see fear in his eyes. Want to help us make that leap? Grab a torch, talk to a crew. You're welcome to it. Peter sniffs. You're welcome to it. Peter sniffs. Every person here is free to prove themselves. I'll help when I can. Peter nods. Just to stop on the road, Sleeper. I'm afraid that's all this was. Peter glances out past the docking axis through the outer windows to the stars beyond. A lot of space out there for those willing to take it. He looks you in the eye. I hope you'll be around before we go, but if not, he smiles, stay strong. And with that, Peter thumps you on the shoulder and heads back to his crew with a purpose, a direction visible in every step of his rapid stride. Well, they're bailing. Doesn't really seem like I can even talk them out of it. The ship's Remember song will act as scouts and security for the evacuees. That means dismantling the docking access. I mean, that's got to be done one way or another, so yeah. Crew management. The crews of Ember's Song are effective, but headstrong and stubborn. They need direction and management. Or access reclamation. As the docking access is dismantled and the individual ships refitted, as much of the material as possible needs to be reclaimed. Okay, well, nothing else to do for now, so... We didn't get any triggers with regard to Haven or anything ever, did we? No, doesn't seem like it. Okay, let's eat. Let's rest. Eat cat. And let's get the flotilla together. Okay. Yeah, let's just make sure this is finished. Done deal. They just keep coming. Perhaps the Flux event scared enough people that they really believe the Eye will collapse. Perhaps they're sick of Havenage, the Council's infighting, and the hardliners, or perhaps they just want to take a chance at some new future. Place that's anywhere but here. Whatever it is, the evacuees don't stop. They come on the flotilla's shuttles, on their own ships, however they can. You've seen so many faces pass that they're almost meaningless now, a parade of features that seem both familiar and distant. You've been helping people, lifting bags, bringing in supplies, directing them to the berths you helped build. Some of them recoil from your touch, still unfamiliar with sleepers. Others treat you with pity. Some with hate, snatching back their bags and storming off. Still you help, still you carry boxes and bags. Nothing can stop you. You don't look for Soul, you know he's busy, just like you, trying to make this thing work. Trying to fit as many people as will come onto the pilgrim seat. You know you'll see him before all this is over. You keep working, but there's something in the back of your mind, something eating away at you. You try to push it to the back of your thoughts, but it keeps coming back. The Eye is over, that's the thought. That the Eye, even if the Flux doesn't get it, is on its way out. How can it survive when these floods of people are leaving it behind? It's a thought that troubles you because it makes you question why you've held on here so long, in a place that seems so temporary for so many people. Are you just a stubborn idiot, someone who didn't get the message? Or are you strong, committed for lasting the storm, for seeing the collapse coming and facing it head on? Because there is something you're sure of now. This place, like all places, is temporary. And as each face passes you, each family packs up and gets on board the pilgrim seat, it feels ever more temporary, ever more fragile. Which means it either desperately needs protecting or it desperately needs to be left behind. The choice is yours. Well, we're gonna do our damnedest to protect it. Okay, that's better. Not perfect, but... Managed to refactor the sensor automation so the system receives better, more accurate data. Ooh, my energy. Ooh, that actually caused us to take damage. You accidentally wipe some existing code and spend all your time reconstructing it. No progress at all. Whoops. Well. Oh. Did I just... Wow, I did not know you could rotate for the entire previous portion of the game. Well. That's annoying. We have to buy food again. And end cycle. Eat cat. Okay. I mean, the good news is... This is where... Yeah. No, it's literally just this. So... Yeah. The good news is we're easily going to finish all this, but I mean, I don't know how much more there is. Like, for all I know, we're way behind. Doesn't seem likely, but for all I know. Done. The automation is in place. You're glad to have contributed. Although, I don't know, you can only take that limited times. Just get a sense of how steppe and greenway plants might work together, feed each other, form new symbiotic relationships. Done. You sit in one corner of the dust house and inspect your work. This dust house, the one where plants from the greenway and some of the steppe species intermingle, has become your favorite. The moss and dust sharing the space in curving terraces, the pale knots of steppe silk freckled with yellowing lichal symbiotes. It's a hypnotic arrangement. You look down and see the intertwining of fungal threads and dust-caked roots and feel a little glow of pride at what's been achieved. You hear the entry lock of the dust house hiss open and, assuming it's Aki, turn to greet her. Sleeper, I should have known you'd be here. Riko smiles her warm smile, leaning on her crutch. You must be one of the most green-fingered people on the station. Riko! Now, it's been so long. She smiles a wry smile. No need for any drama. I met some of the steppe refugees in the greenway. They were gathering plants and I confronted them. Turns out they were very friendly. She smiles to herself. Aki was very apologetic, but I told them they were welcome to anything they liked. She told me I'd be welcome to come see, and well, I thought I'd take her up on the offer. She looks around the dust house with its strange hybrid ecosystem. I have to say, I'm glad I did. Well, I'm glad too. I can see that. Riko limps over to you. She holds out a hand. How about you take me on a tour? You take Riko's hand and walk her around the hybrid dust house. You show her how the steppe silk knots help provide a strong base for fungal and lichal growths, and how the dust mixes with the spores. You show her the different species of steppe tubers and the way they feed the soil with nutrients that help herbaceous greenway plants to thrive. She nods along, her eyes bright with ideas. She stops after a while and gestures for you to sit together. I know something is happening with the eye, Sleeper. She looks out at the plants. We all felt the flux event hit, and everyone is talking about what's next. I came out here to figure something out, to understand what I might do about it all. You glance at her and see the glossiness in her eyes, and I think I have decided. What you have done here, what Aki and the other steppe refugees have done here, is incredible. A whole new ecosystem built from the strange, artificial, changed remains of two worlds. But I am not of two worlds. I am of the eye. A tear runs down her cheek. Like it or not, I am entwined with the station. I'm old growth. I don't have that much time anymore, and it seems to accelerate with every cycle. She frowns. It blurs together, separates, overlaps, comes back to me in strange ways. The time I do have, that's time I want to spend on the eye, in the greenway, watching things grow. She wipes her cheek. One day I'll lie in those fields and not get back up. She smiles. The tear tracks down both cheeks. When the green takes me, I'll be so glad. I'll miss you, Riko. Riko smiles. The feeling is mutual, Sleeper. She wipes her eyes and turns to you. But that's enough of me blubbering on about it. She furrows her brow. What I want to know is what you're planning. I'm staying too, Riko. Riko smiles. We all have to get to know ourselves, Sleeper. To know what it is that drives us. I'm sure you'll decide to act in the manner you know. But you also have to decide, ask yourself why it is so. She places a trembling hand on yours. Don't neglect that. Oh, she suddenly lifts both hands. Don't let me forget this. She reaches into her coat and pulls out a transparent bag of sporing club heads with carefully preserved root systems. I'd like to plant these. If you go, you'll need them. She looks down at her feet. And if you don't, well, maybe another sleeper will benefit. She frowns. I can offer that at least. Oh, thank you, Riko. She nods. Don't thank me. These are yours by right. Riko stands and limps over to a pile of mulch. She delicately takes the club heads out and beds them into the soil there with precise, expert hands. You should go, Sleeper. I'll be a while, she calls out, not looking away from the job at hand. See you around. She says it casually, but there's a note of finality to her speech. I'll see you around, Riko. Turn and leave the dust house, cycling through the protective lock, back into the cool quiet of the ship. Aki is waiting for you. It's beautiful. She's looking through the observation window, and the green reflects in her eyes. The plants look happy together. She spots Riko with her hands in the soil. Ah, the botanist came. She shoots you a look. A friend of yours? Oh, something like that. She nods. She speaks beautifully about the greenway. I should go in and welcome her. She pauses. Are you leaving us? I'm afraid so. Aki sighs. The first of many goodbyes. She suddenly embraces you, wrapping you in her layers of rough cloth. She pulls back. I wish you a steady step And a clear path, she smiles. A farewell from my world. Well, then I wish you the same. She nods and smiles one last warm smile before turning and entering the dust house. You watch as she walks inside, Rico turning with a smile to greet her. She kneels beside the old botanist, and you see her pointing to the club heads, asking questions. You're unable to hear them, but despite that, you can easily imagine the measured, even tone, laced with excitement that Rico is using to explain the club heads, the Greenway, and much, much more. You turn, leaving them to their conversation. Your step is light, despite the burdens you carry, and the smile Rico and Aki were sharing is somehow still on your lips as you depart. Okay. Just the docking access to go, then. Let's get on this. That's going to take at least one more cycle. Possibly two, but... we're getting there fairly quickly. Thanks for watching, Space Sailors. Hope you enjoyed. New episodes will be up every other day, or you can watch live on Twitch. If you did enjoy, consider leaving a like or subscribing. And have a nice day, Space Sailors. This is Sea Lord Janda, signing off.